You're afraid of dying tomorrow, so you're killing today. You're so terrified of your future death that you've turned your present moment into a graveyard. And the magnificent irony is that death isn't waiting for you somewhere down the road. It's happening right now. In every moment, you're not fully alive. But here's what makes this even more absurd. The thing you're afraid of losing, your life, is the very thing you're refusing to experience. It's like being so afraid of drowning that you never learn to swim, or so terrified of heartbreak that you never allow yourself to love. You've become a miser hoarding something you're too frightened to spend. Think about it for a moment. When was the last time you were completely present? When did you last feel so absorbed in the moment that time seemed to disappear? If you have to think hard about this, you've already proven my point. You've been rehearsing death while calling it life. Most people live like sleepwalkers in a dream they mistake for reality. They move through their days on autopilot, checking items off endless lists, rushing from one obligation to the next, always somewhere else in their minds. They're present in body but absent in spirit, going through the motions while the actual experience of being alive passes them by completely. We've constructed the most elaborate defense system against something that hasn't happened yet, and in building those defenses, we've imprisoned ourselves. We plan obsessively for retirement. We save for rainy days that may never come. We worry about diseases we don't have, relationships that might fail, disasters that probably won't occur. And while we're busy protecting ourselves from imaginary futures, the only life we actually have, this moment, right now, slips through our fingers like water. It's the ultimate cosmic joke. We've become so sophisticated at avoiding death that we've forgotten how to embrace life. We carry insurance policies for everything except the present moment. We back up our files, but not our awareness. We secure our futures while letting our present dissolve into anxiety and distraction. But here's what nobody tells you about death. It's not your enemy, it's your teacher. And it's been trying to teach you the same lesson since the day you were born. This moment is all you have. This breath, this heartbeat, this single point of awareness reading these words, this is life. Everything else is mental theater. Death whispers constantly in your ear, not to frighten you, but to wake you up. It says, look how precious this is. Look how fleeting, look how unrepeatable. But instead of listening to this wisdom, we cover our ears and run. We treat death like a terrorist when it's actually a sage, like a curse when it's actually a gift. Consider this. Without death, would anything matter? Would you ever feel urgency to love, to create, to connect? Would a flower be beautiful if it bloomed forever? Would a sunset move you if the sky never changed? Death gives weight to every moment, meaning to every choice, poignancy to every encounter. It's not life's opposite, it's life's collaborator. I want you to consider something radical. What if your fear of death isn't really about dying at all? What if it's about the fact that you haven't truly started living? Because a person who is fully alive, completely engaged with the present moment, doesn't fear death. They understand that death and life are not opposites. They're dance partners. Watch a child at play, completely absorbed, lost in the game, with no thought of tomorrow's homework or next week's dentist appointment. In that moment, the child is immortal. Not because they will live forever, but because they have stepped outside of time altogether. They found that place where life actually happens, in the eternal now. The child isn't trying to be present. Presence is their natural state. They haven't yet learned to split their attention between what is and what might be. They don't know how to worry about the future or regret the past because they haven't been taught that anywhere else exists. This is why children seem to possess a kind of magic that adults spend lifetimes trying to recapture through meditation, therapy, and spiritual seeking. You were born knowing this. You came into the world as pure presence, pure aliveness. But somewhere along the way, someone taught you to be afraid. They taught you that life is dangerous, that you must be careful, that you must always be preparing for what might go wrong. And slowly, imperceptibly, you began to live in tomorrow instead of today. The tragedy isn't that you will die someday. The tragedy is that you've been practicing death for years without realizing it. Every time you're physically present but mentally absent, you're rehearsing being dead. Every time you go through the motions without awareness, you're choosing unconsciousness over life. We've created a culture of the walking dead, people who are biologically alive but experientially absent. They eat without tasting, walk without feeling their feet, breathe without noticing their breath. They're like computers running on autopilot, executing programs without anyone home to enjoy the experience. This is the real death, the death of presence, the death of awareness, the death of actual living while still breathing. But here's the beautiful paradox. The moment you stop running from death, you start running toward life. When you accept that this body, this personality, this story you call yourself is temporary, something extraordinary happens. You begin to discover what in you is not temporary. It's like finally setting down a heavy backpack you didn't realize you were carrying. All that energy you were using to resist the inevitable becomes available for actually living. The grip loosens, the shoulders relax, and suddenly you can breathe again. You discover that what you thought was protecting you was actually suffocating you. There's something in you that was never born and will never die. Call it consciousness, call it awareness, call it the witness. It doesn't matter what you call it. What matters is that you recognize it. And when you do, you realize that you've been afraid of losing something you never actually were. You are not your body, though you have one. You are not your thoughts, though you think them. You are not your emotions, though you feel them. You are the space in which all of these experiences arise and dissolve. You are the unchanging awareness that watches the changing content of life. Think of it this way. You're like the sky, and all your experiences, thoughts, emotions, sensations, memories, are like weather passing through. Storms come and go, clouds form and dissolve, but the sky itself remains untouched. It doesn't fight the storm or cling to the sunshine. It simply provides the space for all weather to occur. This spacious awareness that you are doesn't get anxious about tomorrow's weather, because it knows it can accommodate any storm. It doesn't mourn yesterday's sunshine because it knows that light and darkness are both part of its nature. And awareness doesn't die. How could it? It was never born in the first place. This recognition is not a belief or a philosophy. It's a direct experience available to you right now. It's like suddenly realizing you've been looking for your glasses while wearing them, or searching for your keys while holding them in your hand. The thing you're seeking is the very thing that's doing the seeking. The awareness that you're trying to preserve is the very awareness that recognizes there's nothing to preserve. This is why ancient wisdom traditions have always said that enlightenment is not about gaining something new, but about remembering what you already are. You're not trying to become immortal. You're trying to remember that you already are immortal, that the essential you has never been in danger. But we've become so identified with our temporary forms that we've forgotten our eternal nature. We're like waves that have forgotten their ocean. The wave appears and disappears, but the ocean remains. You are not the wave, you are the ocean itself, temporarily expressing itself as this particular wave. When you really get this, when you feel it in your bones rather than just understanding it intellectually, everything changes. You stop holding on to life so tightly because you realize you are life itself. You stop running from death because you understand that what you really are cannot be destroyed. This doesn't make you reckless or careless. If anything, it makes you more careful, more present, more engaged with life. Because when you're not spending all your energy protecting yourself from imaginary futures, you have that energy available for actually living. You begin to taste your food instead of just eating it. You begin to really see the sunset instead of just glancing at it while checking your phone. You begin to listen when people talk instead of just waiting for your turn to speak. You become alive to life. Every sensation becomes richer, every experience more vivid. Colors seem brighter, sounds clearer, touches more intimate. It's as if you've been living behind a thick glass wall and suddenly someone removed it. The world hasn't changed. Your capacity to receive it has. And here's what's remarkable. When you're fully alive in this way, when you're completely present to what is, time changes its character entirely. Minutes can feel like hours, and hours can feel like minutes. You discover that time is not a river carrying you toward death, but an ocean in which you're always swimming. Einstein showed us that time is relative, but presence reveals something even more profound. Time is optional. When you're completely absorbed in the moment, time doesn't slow down or speed up. It disappears altogether. You enter what athletes call the zone, and mystics call eternity. You discover that the present moment is actually outside of time, that it's the timeless space in which all time appears to unfold. This is why peak experiences feel eternal even when they last only moments. This is why a single moment of true love can feel more substantial than years of going through the motions. This is why children, who live naturally in the present, seem to have access to a kind of magic that time-bound adults have lost. The mystics throughout history have pointed to this same recognition. They've all discovered that when you live from your true nature rather than your temporary form, death becomes irrelevant. Not because you will live forever in this body, but because you realize you were never really in the body to begin with. You are the space in which the body appears. You are the awareness in which thoughts arise and dissolve. You are the consciousness in which the entire drama of life unfolds. And consciousness itself is deathless. But don't just believe this because I'm saying it. Test it for yourself. Right now, notice that you are aware. Notice that there is something in you that knows you are reading these words. What is that something? Can you find where it begins or ends? Can you locate it in space? Does it have a color, a shape, a size? This awareness that you are. This is what you actually are. And has this awareness ever changed? Your body has changed dramatically since you were a child. Your thoughts have changed, your emotions have changed, your beliefs and opinions have changed. But the awareness itself, has that changed? Or is it the same unchanging presence that has been with you all along? Look deeper. Can you find the one who is aware? Or is there simply awareness itself, pure and unlocated? It's like trying to see your own eyes. You can see everything else, but the seer itself remains invisible, not because it's hidden, but because it's what's doing the looking. You cannot be what you're looking for because you are what's looking. When you recognize this unchanging presence as your true identity, the fear of death simply evaporates, not through philosophical argument or positive thinking, but through direct recognition of what you actually are. This is why people who have had near-death experiences often report that they lost their fear of death entirely. They didn't just think about consciousness surviving the body, they experienced it directly. They discovered that what they really were was never in danger in the first place. But you don't have to wait for a near-death experience. You can have this recognition right now, in this moment, because what they discovered in that dramatic moment is available to you in this ordinary moment. The only difference is that they were shocked into presence, while you can choose it consciously. The extraordinary is hidden within the ordinary, waiting to be noticed. Every breath is a miracle, every heartbeat a gift. Every moment of awareness a doorway into the infinite. You don't need to be on an operating table to recognize your true nature. You need only to be exactly where you are, fully present to exactly what is. And when you do choose presence, when you drop into this moment completely, something magical happens. You realize you've been looking for life in all the wrong places. You've been seeking it in the future, in achievements, in relationships, in experiences yet to come. But life isn't somewhere else. It's right here, right now, in the simple fact of being aware. This is perhaps the most revolutionary discovery you can make, that life is not an event that happens to you, but the awareness in which all events occur. You are not a person having experiences, you are the experiencing itself. You are not someone who is alive, your aliveness appearing as someone. When this clicks, and it's more of a feeling than an understanding, everything inverts. Instead of feeling like a small, vulnerable creature in a vast, dangerous universe, you recognize yourself as the vast space in which the entire universe appears. Instead of being a tiny wave worried about dissolution, you remember that you are the entire ocean playing at being a wave. This moment, whatever it contains, is life itself. Your breath moving in and out, your heart beating, the sensations in your body, the thoughts passing through your mind. All of this is life happening. Not the prelude to life, not the preparation for life, but life itself. And when you're fully here for it, when you're completely present to what is, you discover something astounding. This moment is enough. It's not just enough, it's everything. It contains the entire universe. It contains all of time, all of space, all of existence. You've been running toward a future that doesn't exist, while running away from a present that contains everything you've ever wanted. You've been seeking life while life has been seeking you. And it's been finding you in every breath, in every heartbeat, in every moment of awareness. But life is patient. It doesn't force itself on you. It simply waits like a faithful dog for you to notice it's there. It's been there all along, wagging its tail, hoping you'll stop looking everywhere else and see what's right in front of you. And when you finally do look, when you finally come home to this moment, life leaps into your arms with joy. The fear of death dissolves when you realize that life isn't something you have, it's something you are. And what you are has never been born and will never die. It's the eternal presence that watches the temporary dance of form. This isn't consolation philosophy or wishful thinking. This is the most practical recognition you can have. When you know yourself as this deathless awareness, you stop wasting energy on impossible projects, like trying to make the temporary permanent or trying to find security in an inherently insecure world. You stop swimming against the current and discover the joy of flowing with the river of existence. You realize that you've been trying to save your life when your life never needed saving. You've been trying to become someone when you already are something far more magnificent than any someone could ever be. You've been seeking immortality in all the wrong places when immortality has been your very nature all along. So stop rehearsing death. Stop living in tomorrows. Stop protecting yourself from imaginary futures. Come back to this moment. Come back to this breath. Come back to this heartbeat. Come back to life. Right now, as you read these words, notice that you are alive. Not the idea of being alive, not the memory of being alive, not the hope of being alive tomorrow, but the immediate, undeniable, intimate fact of being alive right now. This aliveness, this presence, this aware existence, this is what you've been seeking everywhere else, because this is where immortality is hidden. Not in some future heaven, but in this present moment. Not in living forever, but in recognizing that what you are has always been eternal. The wave doesn't need to live forever to be immortal. It just needs to remember its ocean.